Hi, welcome back. Welcome to Medicine of the Soul. I hope each and every single one of you had a beautiful week. We just had a full moon last week on Saturday, and I'm not sure if you guys experienced this, but I had lots of ups and downs, lots of unknowns, lots of just things that came to the surface to be moved through, to be looked at, to be moved through, and to be transmuted. And ultimately, that's what Medicine of the Soul is. It's a chance for us to actually see these things happening and grow from them. So, one thing that came up for me during this time was limits and limitations, limiting myself. And honestly, if you know me in my personal life, maybe you don't, I am the sort of person that jumps in head first, feet first, whatever, and just kind of lets it happen. Lets whatever is supposed to happen happen. And of course, I have, things that I won't do that with. Like, I'm always safe, but what I mean is I didn't realize that I was limiting myself in certain ways. And how I was doing that came about in a funny way. And sometimes it just kind of like smacks you in the face. And I'm talking about the universe smacks you in the face of like, hey, you should probably look at this. And how I realized I was limiting myself was at the gym. And you're probably thinking, like, isn't the whole point of the gym to like challenge yourself? Yes, that's completely true. I do challenge myself, but when it comes to like flexibility and mobility and things that are outside of what I normally do, I had limited myself. And like, yeah, I looked like a fool, of course I did. I'm kind of like a chicken with their head cut off with those kinds of things, but the fact that I told myself, no, I can't do that, that was limiting myself, because it doesn't happen overnight. And that's what this whole entire YouTube is about. That's what I'm here to encourage, is that you keep going. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to just wake up suddenly and have everything figured out, because here I am 4 years later still trying to figure it out. But the fact that I am nowhere near the space I was 4 years ago is why I'm here in this moment talking about how I see limitations that I put on myself. Because in a lot of other ways, I have zero limits. Like, I love to challenge myself. I love to get out of my comfort zone. And yet, I still find myself questioning certain things that I do. And really, it's highlighted with my dog. And I know I talk about her so much, but she's just my biggest challenge. She loves to just make it difficult sometimes, and yet I limit her. I don't have us go do certain things because I just don't want to deal with the stress of it. And yet that's so limiting. She's a reflection of where I'm limiting myself, and it took this week of ups and downs and things I didn't think were there but were actually there. It took all of that for me to see, wow, this is something that I need to face. This is something that I need to look at. And it's going to be different for each person. You're not going to just, move through a moment and say, oh, I'm limiting myself. It's something that you have to become aware of by being present. And that's the only way I saw it, to be honest. That and me tracking my dreams, and that's a whole nother video about dreams. But it was all these little synchronicities and all these little nuggets of information that I ended up having to zoom out and look at. And that's uncomfortable. And I know it is. I know that zooming out and looking at ourselves is very uncomfortable. I could barely do it. And honestly, I could barely look at myself in the eyes in the mirror for a long time. And so I'm not here to tell you that tomorrow, if you start today, that tomorrow you won't have to go back and start again, because you might have to go back and start again. But I want you to answer the question of where you're actually limiting yourself. Because if you can identify where you're limiting yourself, then you'll be able to become aware of it and become present with it. But can you challenge yourself enough to zoom out and to really see where those limits are? I have limits that I had no idea existed, because from the outside it looks like I don't. I have my safety as number one. Like, my safety is something that of course I'm going to limit, because I'm not about to just jump off a cliff. I mean, if it was meant for that, then yeah, of course, but I'm not about to just like jump off a mountain and say, okay, let's go. Like, no, that's not what I mean. But what I mean is, like, where in my life was I holding myself back in a way that I didn't even know I was holding myself back? And where it started was at the gym. And really what that was telling me is like, hey, you're not really actually challenging yourself. Like, you say that you want to be in tune with your body and you want to be healthy, but yet why aren't you challenging yourself? Like, why? Like, you are cardio queen, like you are weights woman, whatever. Like, I'm not a fitness, you know, the fitness show people. I'm not one of them, but like, I am in shape and I do take care of myself. But yet, like, why am I not trying all of these different programs? Like, I have access to them, so why am I not going for it? Like, why am I not challenging myself? Well, it's because I told myself I couldn't do it. So then, am I really putting getting in tune with my body first? Or am I limiting myself? I think we know the answer to that. Or switch it over to something internal. I love to communicate my truth, no matter what that truth is, but I stand in my truth and I say it, aka why I'm here, which is kind of scary, but here I am. And yet, where was I in my life not communicating my truth? And that's just it, communicating. Doesn't mean that we have to have a heated debate if we don't agree, which maybe we will, maybe we won't. But why can't I hear an opposing side? Like, why am I not putting myself in it? Like, why am I not even trying? Well, because I'm limiting myself. I'm telling myself that, well, I'm not telling myself, but in my mind, in my subconscious, I have this program running saying, don't do that. That's not for you. That's something we can't do. So here I am, having to rewrite that story and having to become present within myself to recognize where I'm limiting myself, to recognize that I don't have everything figured out and that I have to try. I have to try that new workout program that intimidates me, but I want to. I have to challenge myself to do the things that I say I want to do and yet find myself holding back. Because ultimately, there are no limits. We're the ones that decide what those limits are, not the world outside of us. And yeah, you might sit there and you might think, well, I don't have the money to do this. I don't have I don't have the strength to do this and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? That might be true, but is there another path that you're not seeing to complete those things? I'm not negating that those things aren't real, because they are real for you. But are you stuck in just seeing one way to get there, which is a limit in and of itself? That's the ultimate question. And with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I wish you nothing but love and success and abundance, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.